But I just gotta ask you about the DC universe because uh, I'm a comic book dirty street whore. I need it, and I'll do whatever I need to make you feel good. I love them, but the first one I never went to the cinema to see since I've been born
Mm-hmm.
was Birds of Prey.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like a complete mess. It looked like. Do you ever get if you're watching the trailer for like the MTV Music Video Awards and you see a montage of all the year's best videos and there's some dumb voiceover? They're like, ugh, Justin Bieber and others. I'm not really up with modern music. The That's what that trailer looked like to me, and I thought I don't have like epilepsy, but this could bring it on, and I don't want to see this shit. And it seemed like that was part of the public feeling, and then the fact that Wonder Woman 2, which people forget was actually supposed to be out last year, but was randomly delayed a whole year for no given reason. So the question I've got for you is, or maybe not that I'm putting words in your mouth, but would you say that the DC franchise, it's kind of, despite a lot of successes and a lot of misses, overall it's kind of a mess?
I think DC has it stumbled out of the gate by trying to be Marvel, by trying to do what Marvel did, without having the time to give it the care that Marvel gave it. They come out with Man of Steel. First they come out with Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which is very much in line with the way Warner Brothers likes to make movies. We're going to get one filmmaker and let him tell his story or her story over a couple of movies. Sometimes it's 3 movies, sometimes it's 7 movies, like with Harry Potter. They're very good about just telling a singular story and giving it the runway that it needs. And then, Marvel comes along and starts intertwining and building a connected universe. And each of these movies is telling, a piece of a larger story. And DC was like, we have the same number of characters. Why don't we do that? But we can't take 10 years to get to the Avengers. We have to do it in 2. And so then you're rushing the storytelling. You're rushing your way from Man of Steel to introducing Batman to then kind of shoehorning in Wonder Woman and then, doing the Justice League and then also having a Wonder Woman solo movie on the side. And then, you know, it lacked a certain cohesive vision. And they had no real sort of godhead at the top of that pyramid who was dictating, here's how we're telling our overall story. Zack Snyder wasn't that person. Chris Nolan didn't want to be that person. They never had their Kevin Feige, who, has, had a couple of missteps here and there, but by and large knew the giant story he wanted to tell and figured out how best to parcel that out, and had the massive resources of both Marvel Studios and then Disney behind him to allow him the latitude to be able to do that. DC tried to shotgun their universe into being, and it kind of failed for it. And I think they found success by making these sort of standalone independent movies, just finding a filmmaker who's got a take and go make your movie, go make your Shazam, go make your Joker, go make your Aquaman. Like, these don't need to sort of intertwine with each other. If they glance against each other, that's fine. They can be like the John Hughes universe, where they're all in Shermer, Illinois, and, which doesn't exist, but sure, it's all part of the same world, but we're not telling the same story anymore. And they found some success there. I think the more they lean into that, the better off they're going to be. You're going to get some misfires out of that. I liked Birds of Prey, I think, a little bit more than you did. I think, a certain audience, specifically a female audience, liked it quite a bit more than either of us did. And to a certain degree, that's fine. Like, not every movie needs to be for every person. I don't think it was the movie it could have been. And I'm not sure the reasons why that happened. But that seems to be the way Warner Brothers wants to roll with it, which is, let's find a filmmaker who's got a take, roll the dice. Maybe it'll be Joker and make $1 billion. Maybe it'll be Birds of Prey and make $300 million. Maybe it'll be Suicide Squad and nobody will care. Maybe we'll try Suicide Squad 2 and then everybody will care. I don't know what they want it to be on the other side. I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to see a Flash movie or a Cyborg movie. I just think it's, hey, who's got an idea? Who's got a really good idea?
I don't know if it was just me, but I felt that Joker was wildly overrated. And I have a theory to it. It'd be like, right, just say I've got Thriller by Michael Jackson, and I've got the Best of the Smiths here on CD. Uh, just say you'd never heard of them before, and I made a blank disc. 'Cause I'm from the 90s, as you can tell,
Mm.
and I give you this CD of all these songs and go, oh, these are my songs. I wrote "The Girl Is Mine." I wrote "How Soon Is Now." Aren't I great? So, and that's the Joker to me felt like somebody taking the best off like Martin Scorsese films and trying to portray it as his own, and the younger audience going, "Oh, bravo, bravo!" And it's like, nah, not for me.
Yeah, I think if that movie, I mean, granted, it's probably not fair to say this, but I'll say it anyway. If that movie is not called Joker and it's not out of the Batman universe, it doesn't do as well as it did. Um, because I do think that it is it's a cover band doing relatively decent covers of Mean Streets, and Raging Bull and Taxi Driver, and 70s urban malaise, which was a big genre in and of itself back in the 70s and 80s. Let's look back with a little perspective on how awful New York in the 70s was. Um, and so yeah, some like Joaquin's performance is fantastic. I think there's some really interesting stuff. I think it looks phenomenal. I don't think there's a lot of meat at the center of it. And to a certain audience, they didn't even recognize that it was a cover. They think Jimi Hendrix wrote All Along the Watchtower, and I'm like, fine, great. Um, but yeah, I was not enamored with that movie the way some people were. The way, by the sounds of it, the overwhelming majority of this movie going public was. But hey, that's cool. Not every movie's for every person. I'd like to think a comic book movie is for me, but this was not the case.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm a whore, and I'm going to go see Joker 2 anyway because that's just the kind of slut that I am.